Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm from Dynamic Boards, and we advertise all the non-executive director roles across the UK. Today, I've got Shruti with me from Unity Housing. She's the chair of the board, and today we're talking because Unity are looking for a new chair and one or two new board members. So to start off with, could you tell me what's the purpose of Unity Housing? Why was it set up?
The purpose of Unity Homes and Enterprise centres around tackling race inequality. So if I just read out our purpose statement, it's we fight inequality and empower BME people to improve their lives by creating opportunities and by helping to regenerate communities. So we were set up over 35 years ago. We were part of a wider BME housing movement, which was created following a number of disturbances up and down the country and some major reports into race and housing. So around 35, 40 years ago, over 100 BME housing associations were set up with that particular focus on tackling discrimination in housing, and Unity was one of them. And actually what happened was it was set up by two Black men and two Asian women who came together in unity in Chapeltown, Leeds, where there'd been racial disturbances. They came together in unity to form Unity, and their mission was to tackle and address race inequality.
Incredible. And how many homes are there now?
So we've got something like 1,350 homes. So, we've been building a few homes each year, but it's not just the homes we provide. It's also, we also have an enterprise subsidiary, which focuses on economic development. So we run 3 business centres through that and support something like 80 businesses, 80 local businesses. So we've had an impact on economic regeneration as well, and we encourage BME people to form their own businesses as well. We do things like run a BME entrepreneurship program, support people with their finances, help them into employment and training, support them in all sorts of ways in their homes. And as I said, it's not just about the 1,300 homes, it's the fact it's our presence as a BME association, it's the influence and impact we can have as well elsewhere in the housing sector, as well as elsewhere, and how we can influence and shape what others do, not just what we do.
Yeah, that's incredible. So there's this support and empowerment locally, and then there's this ambassadorial work actually to impact the sector at large right across the UK, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been very involved in doing that actually, and it's great as a chair of a small BME housing association to still be invited to take part in key events to influence and to shape thinking. So I've been on panels in national conferences. I've chaired a national conference, but more recently, over this last 12 months, I've been on the steering group of the Better Social Housing Review, which is the big thing in the sector at the moment. So I've been on that steering group, and I've been quite influential in shaping a lot of the aspects of it, particularly around race, and been on its linked to race action group. So we've been quite key in shaping the action plan there. So kind of my role and potentially a future chair of Unity can have quite an impact on the whole sector nationally. And I think that's important. We've got an important role in influencing campaigning and in taking the mission of a BME association like ours to the rest of the country actually, and beyond.
So Shruti, in the light of Grenfell, more recently Rochdale, why are you so passionate about good governance in this sector?
I mean, our existence is so important to make a difference to people's lives, and we can only do it if we're governed well, if we run well as organisations. It's a basic foundation. The campaigning, etc., ambassadorial work is important, but actually making sure the organisation is run well is very important too. I always talk about our role as a board being to direct and protect. So, you know, obviously people are very aware of regulation and the role of scrutiny, etc. And that's an important part of what we do, but also sort of directing and keeping an eye on the mission and the impact that we're having is equally important as well. And we're custodians of the social purpose. So it's absolutely crucial that whoever applies for this role to replace me or come in as a board member is really clear about that. You know, we want whoever comes to be passionate about that and to protect the organisation and its legacy, but also to map out a clear future for it.
And so why is housing specifically so important when we think about racial inequality?
Well, you know, race inequality in the housing has not gone away. The issues that were there 40 years ago when the BME housing movement was set up are still there, and we are seeing that today. It's come through very strongly through the Better Social Housing Review. It's been highlighted by the recent census. The Housing Ombudsman has focused on that a lot and talked about attitudes and behaviours and racial discrimination, particularly in relation to the Awabishak case in Oldham, but also more widely around complaints handling. And, you know, we've got a disproportionate level of Black, Asian, minority ethnic people in poor quality housing or homeless, something like 3 times the level of Black people are living in overcrowded conditions compared to white people. Nearly 40% of Bangladeshi Britons are living in overcrowded conditions. There's 3 times the level of homelessness. So our role as Unity in addressing housing inequalities and influencing the practices of the rest of the sector is just absolutely crucial, and it's as important as ever.
Can you tell us a bit about the board? What's the makeup of the board and the structure of it at the moment?
So we have a main board and we have a subsidiary board for our enterprise arm. The main board, we also have 3 committees. We've got a very diverse mixed board. So it's about what we are as a team. So we don't have, you know, 4 finance people on the board. We don't just recruit finance people, which, to be honest, I think some of the housing associations do. It's about what, yeah, it's about, you know, we are a team. It's about what we all bring together and make up together as a team. And also just as a caveat to that, I do know that no 2 finance people are the same as well. But you know, having said that, it is really important that we, you know, we're really keen to kind of see what people bring to the table, but ultimately every single board member, sorry, what I should say is, got a diverse board, diverse in terms of skills, background, professionalism, as well as identity. So everybody brings different things, but everybody is committed to the social purpose of the organisation. They all come with different levels of understanding of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you have more lived experience, you'll probably have a level of insight that those who don't have on the board do. But there's a willingness to understand and learn. And I think that's quite an important thing as well for a board like Unity. It's a space where people can learn about the particular issues, the mission of the organisation, and it can support them if they choose to sort of go into the mainstream sector as well, because it's an important mission. As you mentioned, Grenfell and the case of the Awabishak, and you know, structural racism is prevalent in our society. and across the housing sector. The Better Social Housing Review has highlighted that. And the action plan for the sector from Better Social Housing Review, it focuses on that a lot. It's there throughout the whole action plan. So it's going to be important for everyone in the sector to really understand how to tackle race inequalities and where better to do it than on the board of a BME housing association. And the action plan is actually we'll be talking about the role of BME housing associations as well. So it's a huge opportunity actually to come to us, to learn and to take things forward.
Thank you. So in terms of who you're looking for this board, we often ask people about the skills and experience, and I know you've got quite a broad view on that. You've just said we don't want a board full of finance people. I've got that message clear. So what sort of skills might be helpful?
Well, there's all sorts of skills, and I know the job specification lists some of the kinds of things we might want around the board, but everyone always brings other things to the table as well. So we're really open. We're not obsessed with a tick list. What's really important is that everybody who comes is passionate about our social purpose. I think for a chair, it's important that they're passionate about social purpose, that they will lead on that. They understand the issues of structural racism, how they manifest themselves, because they've got to have a leadership role in addressing that, and they must feel that they're passionate enough to go beyond just sitting in a boardroom in meetings. It's about more than that. The ambassadorial and campaigning stuff is important, actually, for all board members. And obviously, we also value the insight from lived experience.
Yeah,
it does give you a different insight. So if you can demonstrate those things, I think those are things we would definitely welcome. I would also say that, at the moment, as well as quite clearly as a BME association, particularly welcoming BME candidates, because BME leadership is important. But we would welcome more women, people with disabilities, and younger people. We're definitely lacking, particularly people with disabilities and younger people on the board. So basically, we are very open. And if you feel passionate about what we do, what we want to do, we encourage you to apply.
Do they need to have prior chair experience or NED experience for the relevant role?
For the chair role, I think we'd probably welcome somebody with some prior board experience, but you don't have to have served time for 10 years or whatever. And there may be different ways in which you can demonstrate that you would be able to take on a chair role. So I would say don't feel put off by not fitting a specific criteria if you can sort of demonstrate how you could take the chair role on and draw on other kinds of experience. I'm sure we would absolutely welcome that. For the board positions, we're really open. Again, we are really open.
First time NED's welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
And do you need to live in Leeds or nearby?
Well, we are a local community-based housing association. So if you come from Leeds, the local area, and you understand the local communities and issues, that's brilliant. You don't have to live in Leeds. I don't live in Leeds, but I think to be really effective in the role, it does help if you are from the local area or local enough that you can take on that ambassadorial role and do things like meet members of the community, go to scheme openings, meet with the local councillors, other stakeholders. So it is helpful if you can do that. And actually, if you think about the mission of Unity, it is about doing a lot more than sitting in a boardroom and chairing a meeting. So it does matter, and being able to meet and connect with people, including your board members, does make a big difference to how effective a chair you can be.
So lastly, what would your message be for candidates who might be exploring joining the Unity board?
Well, if you're passionate, if you're equally passionate about our social purpose, if you're excited by what we do as an organisation, if you understand and feel strongly about addressing the injustices in our society, particularly in relation to structural and systemic racism, if you particularly want to address the issues that we have seen highlighted around housing, race inequalities, and you feel that you're capable of taking on a chair role, then apply.
Well, thank you for your time. It was great to hear more about the role from you, particularly for people that are applying for the chair role. You know, you've seen the current chair, and the passion that you've got for the organisation comes across really well. So for anyone who's interested, you can see more details by clicking on the link below. And if you'd like an informal chat with the chair or the CEO before applying, then we've provided the details so you can request that too, because they're kindly given their time. And so if you are applying, I wish you good luck.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks very much.